Oh, yeah,
I'm sorry.
that's all right.
I'm sorry. Sorry. You know what
We
I'm
were
saying?
speaking secrets to you.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Uh,
Secrets of Nim, like the movie with the rats.
hey,
I'm pulling this
oh,
up right now. So I say, yeah, this is a trending topic. Looks like Tommy Sotomayor is talking about it, man.
oh wow.
He's talking about the black woman in Texas shot by the cops. So I'm actually pulling up on our, so I can kind of see what's going on the screen, see who's coming in the Cadillac.
Cadillac Cooper good.
Cool, man. All right, right on, man. Hit the likes when you come in the building. I got a tickle, man. I got about this fan blowing right here. This keeps tickling the tip of my nose, man. So if I keep doing like that, it's because, you know what I'm saying? I got my cholesterol stuff numbers that done today, man.
Oh, decent.
Yeah, man. My my LDL, man, was
Mhm.
at 68. Optimal
Nice.
goal is less than 100.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. My triglycerides were 74. Less than 150 is a target, man.
Oh
So
man.
they told me, I was like, you just got to lose some weight, man. And I'll be good, man. So I'm getting that with plant-based, baby. You know what I'm saying?
Excellent, man.
So
Just long have you that T-bone, man, that porterhouse.
now I'm good on that now.
Veggie
Yeah.
T-bone.
Ooh, straight nasty, I bet. Straight nasty. Straight nasty, man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna share this to a couple platforms. Share it to Tumblr. Sharing this to Facebook.
Reddit.
You know what I'm saying? Blogger. Ah. Okay, that Twitter, Blogger. Show it to multiple platforms. Multiple platforms, man. Multiple platforms.
No.
Boom. Okay, done. Share, man.
No.
Yeah. All right, man. Let's go ahead and get started, man. We're
Let's
talk
go.
about. All right. So, you haven't seen the video at all, have you? The video of
No. No, I haven't.
she was a purported pregnant lady being shot by the cops.
Yeah.
Um, let's go ahead. Let me pull it up. Let me turn Smith and Wesson off for a second. Because I like to listen to Bucktown. You know what I'm saying? Just another gangsta. All
Hmm.
right. Let's see if I can do this right, man. Oh yeah, man. There you go. Shared application window. Boom. This is it, man. So let me know if you can hear this, okay? Can you?
Yeah. No.
No.
Yeah.
How bad?
Wow.
All right. I should have given a warning beforehand. Did you hear that okay?
Yeah, I heard it. Oh
All
yeah.
right. Yeah. So as you can see, there was yeah, man. There's apparently, man, there was a lady named Pamela Turner, and she had she was out walking her dog, and she was actually the officer who was still we don't know his name.
Hmm.
We don't know the officer's name. He was out on patrol and saw her, and I guess apparently he knew her from the neighborhood and knew she had outstanding warrants. So he approached her about the warrants, and she then that's when we saw that interaction where she resisted, began to resist his arrest. He said, hey, you got warrant, I have a warrant for your arrest. And then he pulled out and shot her with the taser. Apparently that didn't work. So he then he wrestled with her to the ground to get her to put handcuffs on her, and subsequently ended up shooting her after she got the taser from him. She actually was able to get the taser from him and shoot him. So you hear the taser go out twice. So she shoots the cop, and then the cop pulls out the gun and boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. But he shoots her after she says she's pregnant.
Yeah.
Now, my issue is, well, come to find out, man, the woman's not pregnant. She's a 45-year-old woman with schizophrenia. My issue is, yes, she did, you did snatch the thing. Anytime you shoot the police, you're going to die. You can expect to be shot. You can expect to be hit with lethal force. I mean, that's just a fact. That's the only outcome. You snatch something from the police. You can't snatch their weapon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's their weapon of choice. Their first one is that the taser. At least that was his weapon of choice. He pulled out the taser on her, shot her. So I'm like, man, what was he on where the taser didn't work?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And so, but when he said, like she said she was pregnant, he shot her. So my question is, was there any ill intent in that? Or do you think it was just cut and dry? She snatched the gun. Basically, she snatched the gun from the cop and shot the cop, because that's what a taser is, and that could incapacitate him. So it's a life or death situation for him. And I'm certainly no fan of the police by any stretch. What do you think, bro?
Well, it's a tough situation. That's why it's tough. It's tough being a police officer, bro. Let me say that. And I want to say this. I try to say this as fair as possible. Police officers, number one, they're not trained to shoot to injure. They're not trained to do that. That's not in their protocol. They're trained to give a lethal shot. That's what they're trained to do. If it gets to that point where they have to draw their guns, now their life is in the balance. So it's kind of a difficult situation because she snatched the taser, but he shot her. Now she says, "I'm pregnant." Well, you snatch the taser and then you shoot him. So his life is in the balance. So the pregnancy was null and void because he was enforcing law. And I know it's not a nice thing. There's a thing called arbitrary law, and then there's a thing we call rule of law. And arbitrary law has superseded rule of law. But rule of law generally is eye for an eye, blah, 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 blah. When you look it up in its category and its meaning, that's what it is. But unfortunately, we're not governed by the rules of law anymore. And this is unfortunate because this is an arbitrary situation, and he had to make an arbitrary decision. She had warrants for her arrest. She became volatile. He thought his life was on the line. He retaliated. Now, would I have done the same? I don't know. I mean, because I'm not. But if I think my life's on the line, then pregnancy is not going to be. That's not going to stop me from. A pregnant person can still kill, and that's important. Go ahead, Dan. I see you. I love when you pull primaries.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, yeah, man. So arbitrary law, I just pulled up the definition, kind of what arbitrary law is. Again, it's judged by, so a judge, at least, judge or arbiter, rather than by a law or statute. So my thing is this, again, my thing is this. I hate saying that. My thing is this, and all I know is that, is that a cop is not judge, jury, and executioner, and he acted as judge, jury, and executioner right there on the spot. I don't believe personally that police should have weapons.
Hmm.
I think that police need to walk around. They need to actually probably take the weapons from them, for, till they know how to act.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, Pamela Turner, I mean, she's a pregnant Texas woman and she gets shot.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the laws are in Baytown, Texas, but we do know that that arbitrary law at the top trickles down, and that's where the problem is.
Hmm.
That's what, because you give that power to that officer at that moment. And you see it consistently happening over and over again, where this issue of arbitrary law gets in the way. That's why his name isn't being released. That's why a lot of officers don't get prosecuted, because they are protected under arbitrary law. They have a code of law that protects them within the statutes and codes that supersede the constitutional rights of citizens, because we have a constitutional federal right, but that is a general federal right. But when we are in the state of where we're at, we have to deal with the state municipality. And that's where I think that's not fair. I think the Constitution should supersede the states. I think the Union of the United States is a serious flaw in the constitutional system, because it basically gives sovereignty to the United States. And we really don't have a union, because if we did, then cases and courts and all that will be found in federal court. But we have circuit courts and district courts that are facsimiles of actual constitutional court. And most of these district courts are non-constitutional. So we're arguing statutes and codes. We're not arguing laws and human rights. That's
Wow.
at the federal level, but you gotta live to get to that.
Hmm.
And the only time you can get before a true federal judge that argues Constitution is the Supreme Court. Anything outside the Supreme Court, it's a facsimile of the law. The law only extends to the Supreme Court.
Man. And then, what's even worse is, is that you say the law is, what's even worse, man. And it just is crazy. What's even worse is that in order for your case to get to the Supreme Court, you had to have been found guilty. So you could probably be in jail for a long time.
All the time.
And then you have to go through the circuit court, through the Court of Appeals.
Appeals.
You know, so you look at it years and years. And let's say it was something that you didn't commit, man.
Oh man, I mean the system is extremely flawed. This is what we argue about. This is why I don't understand why people have opposition to ADOS. It's insane to me that you want to be treated fairly, but you don't want to argue in the political arena. People are caught up on things that are very unimportant. And this pregnant Texas woman who was shot by a Hispanic cop, he acted in a civil process. It was a civil act. That's what his jurisdiction. And because it was a civil act, Pamela Turner suffered, man. And it's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. I see you got some data that you may want to share, man. 2018, man. Look at the U.S. population and look at the disparaging numbers. When it comes to U.S. population, we make up, 12.6 of the U.S. population. And it's funny, we dropped down to the third populace in the United States. That's another issue. That's a serious
Super
issue.
minority, man. Look at that, man.
Yeah, that's serious. Yet we are killed more than twice, almost twice as much as Hispanics.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's racial profiling. I think that it has a lot to do with that, and how that profiling goes along with training of those officers. Wow, 99% of the officers involved in the 1,165 police killings in 2018 were not charged with a crime. And
Yes,
again,
sir.
that's color of law. That's authority of law under arbitrary law.
Says it's 1,600 executions.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? And I mean, it's just executions where, you know, and that's another issue that with this lady is how do you know that she, you know, how does she know? How do we know that that was the right person? How do you know it wasn't but it could have been a mistaken identity and it got that violent that quick? He didn't call for backup. He wanted to, you know, then it's a safety issue for the officer too. You know, why
Yeah.
wasn't his second officer with him? Why was he just out there by himself? They haven't released the body cam yet. If the body cam was on, you know, one of the issues that I have with police, um, one of the issues that I have with police is that no one is ever wrong. No, none of them are ever wrong. Like 99% of officers involved in the killings were not charged with a crime. So you mean to tell me out of all those killings, you know, we don't know how many shootings there actually were, people that actually lived through the shootings, through the police actions. But how many of the killings? You mean to tell me, man, none of those, man, had, they said charged with a crime. So to be charged, to even to be charged, to go to court. So they never even had a day in court.
It
They
would have
went
to,
to night.
yeah, it would have to constitute standing in law. And you know, standing in law, it must have an injured party, it must be a witness, and it must be redressable at law.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to redress a civil officer because the civil officer supersedes the need of a witness because the witness would be the officer. When we study law, you know, I studied law quite a bit, man. That was one of my passions as a youngster, man. I was on the route to lawyer until I found out how much it cost to code and be. Um, color of law is a very unfair thing, brother. Like you touching on some key points that the justice system doesn't deal in wrong and right. It deals in statutes, codes, and that is very, very. That's a slippery slope. Very ambiguous, and you really rolling the dice. As black people, we rolling the dice when we get in our cars every day. When an officer pulls you over, you are rolling the dice. Please do whatever they tell you to do. Get on the ground, get on the ground. If you think it's unfair, fight later. But do not, just don't disagree with them, man, because the law is working against you. And that's why they're so comfortable pulling that trigger and pulling that gun like that. I personally think that police officers that operate as beat cops should not only not have weapons, but they should also live in the neighborhoods they patrol. But because the police officer trained militarily, they take that as a risk.
Yeah.
Now they're telling police officers you cannot have bad credit, you can't get into domestic situations, you can't have parking tickets, anything that would be compromising of your position.
Wow.
So they're just changing the way even law enforcement on the local level operates. It's becoming more and more militant and using military structures and how they deal and work with people. So it's vital, man. It's real. It's a scary situation, especially being black in America.
Wow.
Wow, them stats are scary, man. Wow.
Texas, man. California, look at that.
And those are the biggest states. And you see per capita,
Yeah.
they cover a lot of ground. When you think about how big California and Texas is, you can fit a couple of states in those states. That's how big those states are.
Wow.
So, wow.
Yeah, man. This is crazy, man. This is crazy. It just, you know, I know that the people say that police have a dangerous job. They actually, yes, they don't. It's actually more dangerous to be a janitor than it is to be a cop. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I don't, you know, I hate to say I don't respect what they do, but it's difficult for me to deal with someone that kidnaps and puts people in a cage for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that this lady had mental health issues, that even makes it worse because that's something that we suffer from in the Black community as a just as in general, we suffer from mental health issues. So
Mhm.
how many blacks, how many of these people, how many of these 323 people have been killed due to where actually had some sort of mental health issues? And Pamela
Mhm.
Turner, or unfortunately, Pamela Turner was, they say she has schizophrenia. And so if it was untreated, man, yeah, she could have thought she was pregnant, man.
Yeah, I mean, again, we don't understand, but it's all over the country, not just Baytown, Texas.
Yeah.
Um, and she being a pregnant woman and being shot by a Hispanic cop is something that is very jarring. And unfortunately, and we talked about it before. I'm a real big proponent for Maslow's psychological assessment because that officer was a byproduct of basic needs. Because that officer knew if I injure this lady, I got to go to court. And if I got to go to court, my job is on the line. And if my job is on the line, my basic needs can't be met. So he had to make a split decision because he was encumbered to the police department that fulfills his basic needs. All human beings are going to be encumbered to whatever source supplies their basic needs. That's why we take minimum wage jobs. That's why we as we stay or are prone to stay at poverty level because as long as poverty can maintain our basic needs, if we don't have a sense of self-fulfillment or self-esteem, we'll stay stuck there. We're comfortable. As long as I got shelter, clothes, food when I need it, I'm warm in the winter, I won't really be empowered to want to be self-fulfilled. So that model that Maslow set forth, I'm very redundant about it, man. I'm almost like a preacher of it. I think it's a very effective um, composite picture of why the society is so twisted. Because, you know, um, locking people up and throwing them in jail is not a means of rehabilitation. This is a prison industrial complex. But when we have our basic needs, correctional officers and officers of the like are under fire due to poverty. And if they had to choose eating the next day in your life, sadly to say, that your life would be in the balance. It's very predatory and very, very carnal, very beastly, man. So these are things that, unfortunately, for Miss Pamela Turner, um, she met her demise.
Yeah.
A systemic rather demise. This wasn't just random; it was systemic.
Yeah.
That's where the fear, because this is integrated into a system of racism and government capitalism. And I push capitalism on a free market level, but in the government, that's when it becomes a serious problem.
Well, with government, how it comes in, that's fascism all day, every day.
Yes, all day. They just
Yeah,
cloak
man.
it in capitalism all day, bro.
Look at it. Kicked her, kicked her. One, two. Yeah, man. Let's play this
Hmm.
video.
Man,
It's got a commercial in it, man.
oh yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah. 5G.
Man,
All right.
yeah.
I know you probably can't hear this.
Oh, I see the commercial.
Violent
Yeah.
confrontation last night was reported on a cell phone. We warn you, the video is
5G.
It's in graphic, so guys.
Verizon.
Cell phone video captured the moment a Baytown police officer tried to arrest Pamela Turner. Police say Turner resisted arrest, forcing the officer to pull out his taser. While on the ground, you can hear the 44-year-old shouting.
She winds up taking his taser from him.
How does that happen?
That's one of those things we're looking at to try to determine exactly how that happened, because obviously we don't want it to happen in the future.
Baytown Police Lieutenant Steve Dora says seconds after losing his taser, he The officer draws his weapon
So,
and fires. At least
5 times.
of his 5 shots,
Mhm.
Turner.
So you said that at least one of the 5 hit Turner. He was dead up on her, and he only he shot 5 times, only hit her once.
One for criminal mischief and another for assault. But witnesses say Turner had mental health issues that were known to
See. One thing we have to look at this,
with her.
and
What's
I'm not supporting the action of the police officer because the police officer is an agent.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to give a personality to the police officer. That's his name isn't even mentioned because he operated as an agent.
Yep.
So the agency is what's going on here. The agency trains and integrates an action. He operated in code. That's why we need a compensatory code.
Yeah.
We need a code of compensation in order to operate and handle police officers.
Yep.
We don't have a code established, but they live by a code. And their code of ethics is an overlay to the actual human rights code of ethics. Their code doesn't follow human rights.
No, it doesn't.
It's code based on their agency, and he is an agent that is
Yeah.
operating on behalf of a greater force. And so that force is greater than his will. And that's just basic one-on-one military tactics. If I have a soldier, I'll make sure my force is greater than their will.
Mm-hmm.
When you touch down on the ground, military ground, is kill or be killed, and that's it. Ain't no gray area. This is the problem with a lot of folks who really don't understand military intrusion. You better be thankful that the president is merely an ambassador and deals with international policy, because if the president comes to your town because of an uprising, you have a serious problem on your hands, one
Mm-hmm.
that you will not be able to handle. You do not have the military power to deal with the United States government,
No.
period. It'll be quick work. They'll rather eliminate the whole block than to have you do something to any other citizen.
Yeah.
They'll get rid of the entire state if they have to. That's just because it's military policy. It's to isolate, quarantine, and eliminate.
Wow.
So those things are, and unfortunately, it trickles down because this governmental system is cloaked in municipal laws, statutes, codes that are just color of law. They appear lawful, but they're only statutes of the law.
Right.
The only true law is a de jure form of law, which is constitutional. But hell, the Constitution been suspended since 1789 under the War and Powers Act. The judicial branch doesn't even execute anything outside of the Supreme Court anymore because we're at war. And that's why we engage at war in every major embassy on the planet, every major continent. We be a part of their business.
Yeah.
And made it even worse with the Patriot Act.
Mm-hmm.
So we are perpetually in a color of law state within the framework of Congress that gives laws. And we can't even reach congressional law because we're encumbered by municipalities like this. Foolish stuff like this, man. Sick.
See, the thing is black folks, man, have we have a relationship, a special relationship with police. And when I say a special relationship, we are because, like as you mentioned, they're agents of the government.
Yes.
We are most likely going to be the ones that are going to have direct interaction with the tyrannical government. So the tyranny that we see, these actions, the 323 people that have been killed so far, the people that have died last year, the 1,156 with 99% no charges filed, not non-conviction, but no charges even filed, shows that we actually have a tyrannical government. And so you kind of want to quote, what's that poem? They came for the communists. I did nothing. And they came for me.
Mm-hmm.
Was anybody there to speak up for me? I think that, white folks, get on your job.
Man,
They're coming for you, man.
I think we don't understand. I think we really have to really focus, man, and get into the rationale of things.
Yeah.
Like I said, black intelligentsia. We really got to get into being thinking people and seeing what situation are we really in. What laws do we have? What's going on with the racial wealth gap? What happened to the deal, the new deal that was promised? How are we living and enjoying the rights of being an American? We are rightfully Americans. Where's our American right? Where's our de jure form? Certain laws like suspending the right to bear arms. Now it's lost in bureaucracy, bearing arms.
Yep.
It's actually a setup because now when you bear arms, it's even more so a reason to have to pull a gun.
Yep. Because now you're dangerous.
Now you're considered dangerous. But I'm lawfully carrying this weapon.
You can lawfully carry a weapon. Lawfully.
Exactly. That's crazy. I'm lawful to carry a weapon, but I'm considered dangerous. But I passed the same background check you took to carry yours.
It's whack, man.
So I'm no more dangerous than you are with that badge.
Yeah. That's whack, man.
That's terrible, man. That's so contradictory, man.
You know what I'm saying? That's whack. That's all I can say is this shit's whack, man. It's one word. It's whack 100s. You know what I'm saying? No offense to whack 100, but that's whack 100s. You know what I'm saying? That's whack the motherfucker, man. Well, I just want to thank you, Brother Kansu, man, for being here talking about what happened with Pamela Turner and in Houston, or not Houston, but in Baytown.
Yeah.
And remember, y'all, be a Blerd, man. Think critically. Remember this. I believe this was more of a mental health issue gone awry. That's what kind of dictates the thumbnail. What happens when mental health goes wrong? When mental health meets police, somebody ends up dead.
That's terrible.
So,
and it's not the policeman.
Nah, we don't even know his name. We know her name. We know her record. We know everything, man. We know what charges she had against her. All that, man.
Yes.
We don't know this dude for first, last name. We don't even know if he's white, black. We, apparently he's Hispanic, because it's gotten out in the neighborhood. But yeah, man, this shit's wild, man. I can't believe it, man. I don't know what else to say, dog.
Yeah.
Be a Blerd, y'all. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Pamela Turner.
Pamela Turner, man. All right, bro.
All right, bro. Peace, y'all.
Peace out.
Blerd Planet.